Hey there, Vinyl community. My name's Tom. You're watching Rant District. If you haven't already turned the video off because I was playing Throbbing Gristle at the beginning while I was flipping through records that I haven't put away in ages. It's because I'm lazy about putting stuff away that I've been listening, and that's been my stack lately that I've been listening to. So what's the purpose of this video? This is a video response for Doug of Fat City Vinyl, a channel that I hope you're subscribed to. Very passionate, thoughtful, and for me, highly educational channel. Seems to have has a focus on reggae, but just one of the genuine people that you'll find in the vinyl community. And if you're not watching them, I'll put a link below. Check them out. I think you would like them. So anyway, Doug's 14-year-old daughter recently asked him a question, Dad, why do you listen to records? And I think he gave her a kind of a throwaway answer to just because I like it. And then Doug did a video explaining why he liked to listen to records and encouraged video responses. So here I am with a video response. It's a great question because it's not a question that's really, for me anyway, got a definitive answer. I think a lot of my reasons are going to kind of align with Doug's. If you go by I think it was B.F. Skinner who said that, we're products of our environment. So I'm older than other people, and I grew up with records. So I'm a product of that upbringing. That's how I consumed music at a younger age. And I think that's just because that's what I was brought up around. That's what I gravitate to, and I enjoy it. I mean, it's kind of a throwaway line in the vinyl community to say records sound better than other formats. For me, with my gear, records sound better than other formats to me. I have what I consider to be, for me, a fairly good phono stage in my amp. And records to me sound better than CDs do. And I'm not anti-CD or anti-tape. I have them. I listen to a tiny bit of streaming, but mostly just to check something out to see if I'm interested in purchasing a physical copy. But as far as, and it's funny because I recently picked up a new CD transport and to replace the CD player in an effort to try to elevate CDs to the enjoyment level that I get out of records. I don't know if that's going to work. I don't even know if that's a realistic thing, and maybe just because of my upbringing, I'm wired to enjoy records. But a record has I mean, besides, the blah, 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 physical, you can see all the artwork, it's a piece of history more often than not in your hands. And, I don't want to go on about cliched things. I enjoy it. It's just kind of the way I'm wired. Um, there's a question of, do you like records because of this, or is it because of such and such you like records? One of the things Doug brought up is that you're engaged with the record. You're making an effort to get up, turn it over, put on, drop the needle, and so on and so forth. And I think there's an element of records that keeps you engaged. So, like if you're playing a 33, after 17, 18 minutes, you're getting up and you're flipping the record. Whereas with a CD, because the nature of a CD is generally going to be to cram more songs on it, you might put the CD in, and it'll be an hour later before you interact physically again with that CD. And do you kind of drift away during that time, or do I? Maybe, from focusing on the music. Whereas 17 or 18 minutes later on a record, or 2, 3, 4 minutes if I'm playing 45s, I'm engaged again. So, and do I like records? Do I like records because they're engaging? Or is it because they're engaging that I like records? I don't know. I don't really have a good answer. Part of it, at this point in my life is philosophical. And before you rebut this, yes, I know I'm a hypocrite in a lot of ways regarding this point. But, when you kind of try to, gauge your daily actions on, am I leaving things in a better or worse place for future generations? I feel like electricity use, the use of fossil fuels in producing new records. I mean, the thing about records for me in particular is 95% of the records that I consume and purchase are used. A lot of times I'll see this hot new reissue came out, and I'll look at it, and especially if it's an older record, I'm like, well, there's a bit over 1 million copies sold. I bet I can find an older version of that. I don't need the shiny new one. And why did we need to mine more fossil fuels to press more records? I mean, I think it's healthier environmentally, and I'm about the furthest thing you're going to see from a lefty. But I think it's just you're a better person by using what you already have. By I think recycling, and I think buying used records as recycling is healthy. As far as streaming goes, and again, this is philosophical, but like music wise, when you're streaming music, you're accessing giant server farms, for Google, for Amazon, for whoever's serving that music to you through the streams. I live in Oregon, and there's a small town called the Dalles, where Google has a server farm. They use roughly 25% of the water that gets consumed in that city. That's a lot, and that's water that's not available generally for agricultural, for humans and animals and plants to use. So I guess philosophically, when I can have a smaller footprint, on the planet, and again, I know this sounds weird for somebody who says they're not a hardcore lefty. It seems to me like the right thing to do, and it doesn't impact my enjoyment at all. And the hypocritical part of that is, here I am, I'm putting a video out on the Googles, on the YouTubes, where you're going to watch it fed to you from a server farm. Not everything in life is correct or incorrect. A lot of things are just shades of gray. So why do I like to listen to records? I think it's how I brought up, so it's kind of embedded in my DNA. And I also think there's an environmentally responsible part of me that says use less electricity, don't stream if you don't have to, and I enjoy the sounds of records. One day, if I live in a even smaller space, maybe I go, I really gotta, shrink things down further. Just buy myself a killer DAC and, find a way to make digital sound as good, as enjoyable, I should say, for me, because good is a subjective thing, but as enjoyable to me as the enjoyment I get from records. And I know this wasn't really the question, but I think older records do have a better sound than modern records. Um, but that wasn't even the question, so I really shouldn't veer off into there. Anyway, I'm babbling. Time to shut up. Doug, that was a great question from your daughter. If you're not watching Fat City Vinyl, Doug's channel, please check it out. He's one of the really good people of the VC, and he's not a content provider. He is a vinyl community member. And again, this is subjective. This is my opinion, but he's good people. Check out his channel if you haven't already. And I'm going to shut up now. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.